collaboratively. And at that point, once you move forward, you can say, and there's a difference between collaboration and collaboration, right? And then you say, and they work collaboratively in these recurring cycles of collective inquiry, trying to figure out why, and then determining how. And then we take action to increase learning for all kids. Very good. That's what this is. That's what this is, yes? Now, we want to remember this, and remember this, that we want to make sure that people understand that why and how are important. Every school's got their whys, and we have to determine how. So everybody repeat after me something that I learned from Sanger Unified School District. Ready? Everybody say it nice and loud. Hope is not a strategy.
Is not a strategy.
Write that one down somewhere. That I need you to remember that. Because so far we've learned two major things. What a PLC is, how collaboration and collaboration are different, yes or no, and that hope is not a strategy. So my friends, here's the deal. Not only is it an ongoing process in which educators work collaboratively in recurring cycles of collective inquiry and action research to achieve better results for the students they serve, here's the part that we forget. Professional learning communities also operate under the assumption that the key to improved learning for students is job-embedded learning for educators. Meaning, we, the educators, also are expected to learn. Now, having said that, here's what's going to happen when you go back. You have to remember that there are three big ideas to a PLC. The first one is, this is about all kids. Now, how many of you work with special ed children? Let me see you out there. Our special ed children are included in the all. Are you following me here? Yes. How many of you out there, thank you. How many of you out there work with EL kids? By the way, if you've never seen one all grown up, this is what we look like right here, okay? Ellos también están incluidos, porque mira, yo puedo dar esta presentación en español and in English too. Look at that, bilingual, biliterate. Helped me a lot, yes? So here's the thing, EL kids are included. This is about all kids, right? Now, how many of you work with severely disabled children? Okay, my severely disabled children have conditions that might not let them learn at high levels, meaning grade level or higher. We had a little girl, for example, that was missing half her brain at Baldwin Park High School, where Tony and Ippolito here, the current principal, and I worked. And she could never come to school, so we would visit her at her home. I wasn't going to expect her to do chemistry, but she could learn. That's the only exception to the rule as far as learning at high levels, but every other child is included. Are you with me? Now, having said that, that's the first thing people are going to need to understand. Here's the second part of that, and here's the hard part. Not only do we expect all kids to learn at high levels, we, the adults, are responsible for that learning. Not the parents, not the politicians, we. We got to take ownership of that. Now, can we influence parents to do the things we want them to do? Of course. But we're going to take ownership of this. So not only is it all kids can learn at high levels, we, the adults, are responsible for that learning. Second big idea. In order for us to do this, it's going to take us working as a team. Now, question, is there a difference between a group and a team? Yes or no?
Yes.
We don't want groups at a school, we want teams at a school. And teams have a specific goal they're going after. Our overall goal is to year after year after year increase evidence of learning. By the way, that's the third big idea. We will use a focus on results, evidence of learning, to ensure learning for all is taking place. Now, my partner during that time, Mr. Ippolito, say hi, Tony. Tony was the principal after I left, and we knew we were doing something right. He was a great assistant principal that I got a chance to work with. Because our kids went from a 72% graduation rate to the year I left, 92% graduation rate. Now, here's the most impressive thing. Ready? After I leave, that graduation rate goes up to 96.3.
Wow.
So it's not the principal who makes this happen alone. Something called teacher leadership has to be part of the equation. Does that make sense? So my friends, these are the three big ideas. So now you know what it is, yes or no, and you also know that there's three big ideas that go with that ongoing process. But you're going to experience something called resistance when you get back to your school site. And let's get real. Resistance doesn't look like that at our school site. It looks more like this, yes or no? People will smile. They will fake the funk, yes or no? They will look at you and say, oh, that's so good. You got me a shirt. How nice. Thank you. Oh, look at your tattoo. That's really sweet. And then they will fake the funk, yes? Meaning they're thinking in their head, this too shall pass. Yes or no? Am I telling the truth? Yes. Some people back at your school site, maybe some of you before you started this journey, are thinking it's a fad. This will be over just like whole language came and went. So let me be clear. This is not a fad. This is not a journey only. It's an ongoing process that you, the adults at the school, got to keep moving. And what did I say it has? It has both a macro component and a micro component, yes? So, what does that macro component look like? Now, before we move further, let's understand, let's kind of study why there's so much resistance. Now, let's think about this. What if our public school system was never designed to ensure high levels of learning for all? Think about that. What if this entire time we've been living what I like to call, ready for this? A Twilight Zone episode. How many of you remember the Twilight Zone? Young people, Google Twilight Zone when you get a chance. I would watch that show religiously. You know that when I fly for a living, every day I'm on a plane. I